versus Beowulf. All right, telling our players that they are good to go. What do we think of this opening hand from Ron? Seems like a mulligan to me. You really want that primal influence.
Yep, absolutely. I would mulligan this for sure, especially because you don't have you don't have the third power for Hojin, um, and you can't play the snowball in order to trigger it in that position, or play the no when hold 'em in order to buy it back. So
All right, and
fairly
looking over
straightforward.
at Beowulf's side, we've got 3 power, a Silverblade Intrusion, a Hojin, a Valkyrie Enforcer, and a Levitate. Seems like a pretty good hand in this matchup in the mirror.
Absolutely. I probably slap down the Hojin and you might save the Valkyrie Enforcer for when they play some for probably Akira when W drops it. But yeah, seems solid. Okay, decides to mull here. Uh could be a pretty decent hand out of wsgRon here if they manage to find a third power of some kind. Unfortunately, since the Mavloft Huntress is too primal, they won't be able to use it in order to plunder away any cards in their hand. Here comes the Hojin. Will it eat? Ooh, that is awkward.
All right, well,
Okay,
we've got
probably
Hojin
just the
facing down.
Enforcer here, I think. Yeah, you
Yeah,
see
probably.
WSU Ron is stuck on mana, sorry, stuck on power, and therefore you can feel free to just get aggressive here.
Yeah, and unfortunately, also stuck on Primal Influence. So the two Mavlov Huntresses, which could take out a unit and plunder, not going to be options here for Ron. Okay, well, there we go. There's the Crest of Order. That's what not Ron needed. Of course, you'd rather have it be undepleted, but it at least opens up Ron's hand. Now Ron can at least function.
Indeed. Probably, yeah, I'd probably plunder away one of the levitates here. Yeah, I think that bubble. Okay, choosing not to plunder instead. All right, going for the Hojin makes sense while Silverblade Intrusion is down and making sure that 3eowulf can't just dump out their hand off the Renown ability. Going for 3 here. They still have a Huntress next turn if they wish to use it to take out the Valkyrie Enforcer. Keep that board clear of flying threats. Hmm.
This Justice Etchings here for Beowulf.
Probably, I might. I'm actually sort of tempted from Beowulf's position to go for the Palace here, knowing that WSG Ron is a little bit
Yeah,
behind
and that's what
in
they're going to do. They're
terms
going
of
to go to that
everything.
palace, and they have the Justice Sigil in hand, so Beowulf can just stick a palace next turn. And that's tough for the Kira deck to deal with. So Palace coming down next turn for Beowulf. What can Ron do here to put themselves in a better spot to not just get completely overwhelmed by this palace?
I'm not sure, actually. You can,
Not great.
I think you can at least, yeah, you probably stick Hojin. Yep, stick on the Hojin. But yeah, I sort of understand not wanting to plunder away the levitates because you're really looking for more justice influence since you've
Yeah.
already got your two primal. But
Oh, interesting.
okay,
So
choosing to
Beowulf did not.
pass here instead of to plunder.
Beowulf not playing out the palace next turn with the Justice Sigil in hand.
I'm not sure if I'm a massive fan of that because now just eat your flyer.
Yeah, I mean, you
They
get the
do have
Silverblade intrusion here,
intrusion.
I guess, to protect it. Maybe Beowulf wanted to keep the Silverblade intrusion up when they played out Palace to protect themselves
Makes
here.
sense.
Maybe a good line. Maybe that's really cautious and understanding what's important in the matchup, being able to stick and protect that
Yeah.
Palace. Um,
Going for the much safer line instead of like the way more greedy line and high risk that I was going for.
yep. Okay,
Um,
and here comes the Palace
okay,
this turn. What
that's
they're going to
the
start with.
probably okay.
With
Diversifying your
Sand
threats a
on the
little. Nice.
Hojin.
Nice. Does Beowulf happen to have any more protection spells in hand?
They
That'd be
do not.
very
They have a
nice.
levitate and a justice etchings as well as the Valkyrie that they got off the intrusion last
Ah,
turn.
levitate. Perfect. Sneaky surprise flying endurance block. Just cycling with the levitate here. I
Levitate
think
will do
that's
it. Yeah.
fine. Probably just deploy the Hojin and then depending on what they don't think there's a good way for wsgRon to threaten this palace, unfortunately. Because they know that Beowulf is a good enough player to
Yeah.
leave up that
Yeah.
one sneaking power for
That one sneaky
something.
power. Yeah, this is a tough turn for Ron. Lots of options. You've got the protection and the intrusion and the bubble shield as well as levitate, but you really want to get that palace off the board. Because even though you can spend your turn deploying units, if you just let Beowulf stick around with a palace in play, you're in really bad shape. I mean, in fact, we saw how crazy the Berserk can be. Gonna force now. Ron does have a levitate, but actually, if with the Berserk, it would just be lethal on Beowulf's turn.
Yeah. Do they go for intrusion here? Okay, so they do go for the intrusion to save their blocker. And next turn, they do also have the option of levitating. If they levitate their Hojan, do they save themselves here?
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. They do have the levitate option,
Yeah.
so it's not. I don't think it's straight lethal. Although Berserk on the Hojin, they can't.
Oh, my bad. It is just straight lethal because the
Is
Hojan
this?
can't block the second attack.
Yeah, it'll
And
die.
yeah.
It'll die on the first attack, right? So okay.
Mm.
Well, Beowulf's gonna play it safe and just gonna go for the Wisdom of the Elder here. Not going for lethal. Not that they have to. I mean, they're in a pretty strong board state here. They've got Lord Stayer's Tower, Valkyrie Denouncer, Rhymeclimb Smuggler, and a Justice Etchings in hand. And they're actually going to
Oh,
warp out a Stayer's Tower over their palace. That is aggressive. Get a pair of Valkyries and also Ironclad Oath. Oh,
probably
interesting. So
Ironclad.
we forgot, we missed, they used their Levitate. So Beowulf used the Levitate
So they can't
on.
get in. Yep. In the
Yeah,
air.
they used the Levitate on the last turn to protect it, so they couldn't actually use it here to fly over for lethal. I guess it technically was not lethal.
Sense.
I mean, this is pretty good, though. Using the curfew enforcement here is going to basically negate all of Ron's units. Still pretty good.
Yep, just a very straightforward chump block here.
Depleted Huru painting off the top here.
This is. Wait, let me just take a quick double check of the list. Sorry, chat. I wish I had a mind like a steel trap, but I do not. Okay. Interesting. Corvia Palace. Okay. Yeah, I think make it all here. That's a lot of damage to the face.
There's that Ironclad Oath. This is going to be a lot here. Ron still has this defensive levitate if they want to use it. They also have Palace of their own, although Palace is a little bit worse on the defensive side when you don't have a board. Or I should say when you're behind on board.
I think the curfew enforcement. Oh, never mind.
All right, Ron's just going to toss that one in, so Beowulf's going to take game one here.
The curfew enforcement actually was an amazing play out of Beowulf that I didn't realize because blocking the onslaught trigger on chump attack for the Rhyme Conclave Smuggler not only negates the face Aegis that you'd get out of the Bring to Justice, but also they probably weren't getting onslaught pristine light in that position because there were no opposing. The only opposing 4+ strength unit was the Hojin, but negating the onslaught on that as well. Very, very good. All right, game two. What do we have here?
All right, let's tell our players that they are good to go.
Let's rumble. Okay, this seems like a fine hand out of wsgRon. You have a couple of spells for your Huru Envoy. You can play the Ikari on turn 2 and activate its ability if you wanted to. Dash Evangel.
Yep, and on the other side of things, we see a Kodosh Evangel, a Hojin, a Valkyrie Enforcer, a Rhymecom Smuggler, and a second Smuggler in hand for Beowulf to go along with 2 more
Hmm.
Justice Sigils, so they can deploy their full hand if they want, and then a Justice Etchings here as well. But not going to stop Ron from activating this Ikaria.
Yeah,
There we
I'm kind
go.
of tempted to
Ron
just
slams that
go for the
Ikaria.
Ikari here
Yeah, absolutely.
to
Take
for
that.
just in case they happen to have an enforcer of some kind. Because now with Akira in hand, you're just going to be able to, and 2 spells to support it, you're just going to be able to completely outdraw Beowulf.
Definitely. Okay, Beowulf on this Hojin here. Going to go for this attack. Not really much Ron can do about it here.
Um,
The Smuggler,
Rhyme
okay.
Compass.
Onslaught Smuggler for the double Aegis. Gonna grab Bring to Justice. Gonna just fire that off right now on that Ikaria.
Okay, yeah, just slam the enforcer on the Hojin, probably, is what I'd go for here.
Yeah, probably. Do you think that Bring to Justice was a little bit aggressive? I mean, obviously Beowulf doesn't know Ron's hand, but Ron sort of got the value out of that out of the Ikaria already, and then having this Kira to back it up and this Enforcer.
Okay, so instead opting to go for the yeah,
I
see
can
the
play out
thing.
the Envoy here. No way to protect the Kira, so gonna get the card draws with the Levitates, and then hopefully draw protection before playing out the Kira.
I'm not sure, but I think depending on whether Beowulf has an intrusion.
Mm-hmm.
If they had an intrusion in hand, then I'd be more amenable to going for something slightly different
Mm-hmm.
because then you know you can still push past the Icaria. But once the Icaria becomes a 4/3 flying endurance, there's a lot that could go wrong for Beowulf, especially if Ron has an intrusion of their own. So I think that
Jeez.
just slamming that right now, making sure that they can't, because give I assume Beowulf is just
So Beowulf
trying to
has
play
one of
the
the
aggressor
intrusions
here.
in hand. They actually
And
had
that
2 intrusions in hand.
oh, they
They
do have
tossed one
intrusion.
away to get a
Okay,
Builder's Decree, but they have a second one in hand still.
makes sense. Okay. Beowulf, do you have? Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So Ron has the Huru envoys, whereas Beowulf does not, instead opting to go for, I believe, the Kodosh Evangels to ramp out a little bit more power, which makes their play make a little more sense because then they want to go for as their the deal with the Huru envoys is that they're more capable of like generating card advantage late game. So
Mm-hmm.
if you don't have them, then especially if you're going for the Evangel route, you want to go fast, aggressive, slam. And
Ron's going
I
to take
think that's
advantage
what
of that
Beowulf
unprotected
is trying to
Hojin
do
here by
here.
firing off a snowball and taking care of it clean, and then
Ooh,
dropping a pair of
let's
Kiras here. Powered up to the middle, one Justice away, which they have in hand, to being fully powered up with each other. So Beowulf's going to have an answer this turn.
and unfortunately they already expended both the Bring to Justice and Enforcer Silence here.
They did.
So they might be able to deal with one, but they're definitely not going to be able to deal with both here.
All right, well, here's a Builder's
Unfortunately,
Decree.
it
That's
does
going to take out the Enforcers and leave a 6/6 behind. That's something.
that
Well,
is
not with
something.
a not with a
Ooh,
Maveloft Huntress off the top.
it they can't imbue with the Kiras, but I mean, like I don't think that Beowulf has fantastic blocks here either way because the Kiras are just going to pump each other.
Yep.
Easy peasy. Oh, opting not to go for the attack, instead waiting for maybe when they have a trick of some kind,
Well, they're still
just so
looking.
that
I think
you.
they're still making
Oh,
that
nope,
decision. Yep.
still going for it. Yeah, I think
Hey, Marshall DeMoss, thank you so much for the raid. We appreciate it. Welcome everybody from Marshall DeMoss's stream. Thank you so much for coming in 5 minutes ago. We appreciate it. We are on a delay. We're in the semifinals of this tournament tonight. So thank you all for hanging out. Welcome.
you very much. And yep, Beowulf respecting the possible intrusion that Ron may have just top decked here. Unfortunately, this still puts Beowulf in a pretty bad spot because you can intrusion, I guess, the two Kiras, but they're still going to get pumped. You don't even really need the enforcers here in this position. At
No,
most, you
not really.
there's nothing good to silence.
It's just the
Just
unit. It's just your
leave.
Kiras are so big that they've so Beowulf's got Justice Etching, Silverblade Intrusion, and Smuggler in hand. And in their market, they've got another Intrusion, a Trickshot Ruffian, a Kodosh Evangel, a Pristine Light, and a Covert Palace. So the Pristine Light's not bad. And they afford they
Yeah,
can.
Pristine
They
Light
can smuggler into Pristine Light here. I think that might be what they have to do.
and just hope that Ron did not draw a bubble shield of any kind.
Yep, and here it comes. Here's that
Yeah.
Pristine Light. And Ron does
Very
not
nice.
have protection there, does not have the bubble shield, so that's going to take care of both of those giant Kiras. Although, no one to hold him off the top. This is why you play Kroll. Again, fair and balanced card, that Kroll. Although, it'd take a lot of damage if you do it this turn. You play no one to hold him, you get Kroll, you take 6.
You can actually probably honestly,
Hunters
yeah,
first.
killer first to reduce
Yeah.
hunters first
Yeah.
to reduce the amount of damage that you're taking off your no win hold.
Yeah, I like that a lot more. First, then you know when to hold him. Then you're only taking 4. Much more reasonable.
Turn your 12-9. Do you have a Vanquisher's Blade? Or at
1
least
power 12
another
9.
market option? Yeah.
All right, here comes the 12-9 Kira back in the action. This is why you play that Shadow card in your Huru deck. In case you've been living under a rock, Krull is an 8-power Shadow unit, but Fate ability, Krull deals damage to you equal to your remaining power, and that does not require Shadow, nor does the ability to, when it damages a player, play a unit from their void with cost less than the damage dealt. So I know we've got a lot of viewers on here in case you don't understand how this works. You know when to hold them to draw Krull from your deck. The draw ability damages you, but that damage allows you to basically reanimate something from your void. So know when to hold them for 1, gets Krull back, deals 4, allows you to get this Kira back from your void. So essentially a 1-power way to get anything from your void, and all you have to pay is some additional life for it. That's essentially what happened there, which is why
Beowulf
deck is running this card.
here.
Beowulf Justice Etchings, there's not much left they have, unfortunately. They're going to go for a Silverblade Intrusion.
Ooh. Oh, they go. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, they don't have a flyer here, which could perhaps leap over.
Here comes another Kroll. This one's going to hurt a little bit more, though.
Ooh.
That one off the top is going to do 7 damage because it's equal to your remaining power. It gets that Kira back, which is nice, but it also puts Ron down to 3. It might not be relevant here, but it's a big hit to your life total.
Actually, Ron has the silence and the flyers here to prevent any kind of perhaps like trick shot shenanigans coming out of Beowulf next turn.
Although technically
do
now
save
Ron
themselves.
is dead to a Kroll off the top. Technically.
Do they have more crawls?
I'm not sure how many they're running. There's 2 there, but now it's low percentage, but
yeah, both players are unfortunately running only 2 crawls.
only 2 Krolls. Okay, so it is not an out.
Only 2 crawls. It is not an out for Beowulf here, unfortunately.
All right, so Ron's got a 17-13, a 12-9, an 8-6, and a 3-3 flyer. What can Beowulf do to survive this turn? They already fired off their Pristine Light, so that's not an option. So they're going to go for Palace here.
Can they even
Wisdom?
draw with Palace? I don't think there's anything that pushes through your Rhyme Conclave Smuggler here.
Don't think so. And that's going to be
Yep,
it. And Ron's going to
that's
take that one. And I believe that's going to even it up to 1 game apiece. So going to a crucial
indeed.
game 3 here. That's pretty exciting. Very complicated mirror. Lots of lines, lots of different things. You did mention how important the Valkyrie Enforcers were, and I agree. They're definitely important in that matchup for sure. Does not look like we have any updates from the back table either, so not sure how that one is. But we are getting ready. Okay, and the players are ready. We're just going to fire down here. This is game 3. Winner of this goes to the finals. Our players, they are good to go.
Ooh, yep, definite lull here.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, one power hand. I don't need to tell you guys, chat. You guys are fairly intelligent people, I'm sure.
Not
Ooh,
always
I
easy,
think
but when you see the
yeah,
1 power hands, it's pretty straightforward what you do with those. All
this is
right,
a
2 power
little bit more.
Kira, Enforcer, Levitate, Bubble Shield, Silverblade Intrusion. Not bad. You're kind of depending on this Kira sticking, but you've got ways to protect it. Beowulf on the other side is
It
looking at
is.
4 power,
Yeah.
Akira, a Silverblade Intrusion, and an Ikaria. So good starting hands for both players.
Can Ron find a second power? Is the question. Probably bottom the yep, bottom's the Aquaria here. Hopefully you hit a sigil.
I think Ron's got the advantage with the 2 Enforcers, but Beowulf's got the advantage in the cleaner power. Beowulf can hit turn 4 with no trouble. Ron's hitting turn 2 depleted here. So
Yep. Hopefully this is not a repeat of game 1 where we just see Ron stuck on power. That is not entertaining Eternal. Yet.
yeah, Beowulf going to fire off that Ikaria, going to activate that ability. Hey, another seat. So gonna play off that
See here.
Kira. Seat works. It's unfortunate that it's depleted because you
Does
now can't protect your Kira, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
the bubble shield. Does Beowulf have an enforcer here? Yes, no.
Got a
Ooh,
snowball, which
snowball.
right
Ah,
now is gonna
yeah.
do it. Huge draw off that Jotun Hurler there.
Fortunately, WSU Ron can just pick the Kira right back up as and when they need.
Kira,
As
we saw
and
that
when they
interaction
need
last turn,
with
last
the
game with
no one
Kroll.
poke in here.
All right, so Beowulf looking at a hand. They have Kira, Silverblade Intrusion, another Ikaria, the Jotun Hurler, and the Smuggler. So they're gonna play out the second Ikaria here, and they've got the Silverblade Intrusion protection. Doesn't protect you
Probably
from
silence
silence,
the
but
slightly bigger Icaria. Yep. Because even if Beowulf reaches 6 Justice Influence, you can still block the slightly smaller Icaria profitably with your Enforcer. Levitate cards. Hopefully you
gonna
get
hit
that
Kira and
sick.
then gonna levitate. Here comes that Kroll.
Ooh,
Now, unfortunately, gonna
unfortunately.
take some damage, but nothing to reanimate this time.
Yep.
All right, here comes the
Ooh,
snowball.
snow.
Beowulf does have the Silverblade Intrusion, though. It's the Enforcer first, but as we said last time, your Silverblade Intrusion doesn't protect you against silence.
Force the silences. Yep. Hopefully, can they draw a bowl shield off the Kira draw?
They
No.
didn't, but they did draw Levitate, so I think they're just gonna go and spin the wheel again. But unfortunately, they're out of power now, so Bubble Shield at this
No
point
power.
doesn't matter. They did get a Smuggler. Now that Kira is just a vanilla 2/1. Here comes another Kira.
Oh,
There we go. Nice draw there for
the Kira.
Beowulf. Straight into a Justice
Ah,
Etchings. Gotta love
perfect.
that.
Justice Etchings for your 6th Justice Influence. Make that a 4/3.
Oof. And draw an Enforcer off of that draw.
Ooh, very nice.
Very nice. So you can throw away this Krull or this Jotun Hurler, and you can play an Enforcer this turn if you want. Nice draw there for
I
Beowulf.
I think I'd probably save the Enforcer here because, as I said, it's
Yeah,
so important to silence the Kiras to stop your opponent from getting too far out.
I agree. They also have Bring to Justice that they pulled out of the market there. And they also have 2 copies of Smuggler. That's probably what you're going to play here. So attack in, get that Onslaught, play a Smuggler here, and then grab Trickshot Ruffian,
Put away
Palace,
either
Builder's
the
Decree, tons of options. You're going to go with Palace. And one of the Bring to
no,
Justices right here. Oh, and nice, because of the Smuggler, it actually would kill the unit because of the Aegis you have there. Beowulf lining up a nice board of units here, and then they're gonna have a Corviat Palace next turn if they choose to go that route. That's gonna be tough. Ron here gonna fire that off. Let no one to hold him for the Krull to get back their Kira.
Nice draw from Ron here. Now they can hit the Kira with the Huntress.
Mm-hmm.
Now that they know for sure no power, you can guarantee it's guaranteed to get the Kira off the board.
Yep. And that Hunter's gonna take care of that Kira. Ron is gonna keep his Kira alive here.
Firing off the Enforcer first, forcing Ron. Ooh, hitting the Enforcer, not the Kira. Interesting. Do they have an auxiliary ray? Way to get rid of.
And as you mentioned, this Enforcer, although this Enforcer now gonna silence the other Enforcer. Back in for 4 here. Setting up for a turn. Alright. Levitate gonna pop up this Enforcer, and that's just gonna trade with this Kira. Actually, it's gonna eat the Kira because of the Silverblade intrusion. Look at this. This is a nice play. Gonna be able to eat the Ikaria and then trigger your own Kira here.
Yeah, I understand what Beowulf was going for here. They probably wanted to set up a play with Sack the City, because if um, wsgRon didn't have a flyer, or if they were unable to deal with at least one of the flyers, then Beowulf just had lethal on board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But unfortunately, that risk didn't quite pay off here.
Now it's still with the Corviat Palace. It's still what's that? 12. Well, I guess they have another levitate, but it would be 12 damage coming through. They also have another smuggler in hand, so they can go get Trickshot Ruffian to do a big chunk of damage out of nowhere as well.
Unfortunately, they don't quite have the 7th power here.
Mm-hmm.
Both play.
Ooh, look at this. A warped Lord Stayer's Tower off the top for Beowulf. Got to get that warp value. Going to get 2 triggers here. First one's going to be Stayer's Beckoning. Get a pair of 1/1 Valkyries. And then second one, are we going to see last time did Curfew Enforcement here? I think that's probably the play over the Oath.
I think you can afford to play a little slower here, mainly because you still, if you Curfew Enforcer here, you can always get the Ironclad Oath and then replace your site again with your Palace to get in for lethal, if it so sets up to be.
Yep. Tough decision here.
Ooh, no one to hold him for their Kira. Nice.
Now, did I miss that? Was this not warped? I thought it was warped.
I believe it was warped, but you can choose. You can wait on.
You can wait on
pulling
the
the trigger for your second mode. Yep.
That makes sense. Okay, and there comes the curfew enforcement. Sorry about that, chat. Here comes the curfew enforcement. Enemy units get -3. That's pretty good. That's pretty effective here. Now Beowulf is firmly in the driver's seat with a palace of their own. And as we see this palace in Ron's hand, we mentioned this last game, but palace is a fantastic card when you have a good board. But when you're behind like this and facing down lethal, just slamming down a palace doesn't really do much for you. Justice Edgings and Bubble Shield are fine, but Ron's going to need more than this.
Ron's gonna need a flyer, really. Otherwise, they're just dead to what I believe is a fairly telegraphed Corviat Palace out of Beowulf's market.
Yeah, and
here.
Beowulf's gone to the market so many times this game that Ron for sure knows that's what they have, or at least very likely have access to it. And with no flyers, they've got a snowball in etchings. What can they get with the etchings? A Bring to Justice, Technique, Trick Ruffian, Pristine Light. I mean, Pristine Light does a little bit of work, but I don't think it even keeps Ron alive.
Yep, they just have It gets rid of the Icaria
Yeah, it
here,
really
but they
just gets
still
rid of
just
the Icaria, so that's not
lethal in
even
the
a good
air.
play. All right, gonna withstand on the Kira. Draw a bubble shield. Problem is you can target this Kira again to draw another card, but then you're out of power and there's not much you can do here. Gonna grab Bring to Justice. That's all Ron can do. Just bring to Justice, take out one of Beowulf's units. But if Beowulf just lands Palace here, I think that should be plenty lethal.
Indeed. Yep.
Especially if you keep the Stairs Tower alive and you get to Oath first before playing the Palace, then it's extra lethal.
Absolutely. And is Ron just out of power this turn? I believe they've already played
I believe
their
they
power
are.
drop for the turn.
They can just look at the Bring to Justice, I think. Yeah, and there's the Bring to Justice. Can take out that Icaria, but not enough. And Beowulf, congratulations to Beowulf, is going to win that one 2-1 in a hard-fought battle over WSG.